Hello, welcome to my channel, The Martial Way. My name is Kohime, and this first video is going to be answering the question, can you learn martial arts without a teacher? And the answer is an emphatic yes. You can get to an intermediate level. Mastering, that's another story. It's quite complicated, and I'm not really going to answer that question at this point, but let's just say highly unlikely. So let's go back and see where this all came from. When I was 17, I needed to learn martial arts in a hurry. I had a gang issue and big time bully issues in New York City. And there it was about being jumped by multiple people. There were no fair ones, no one-on-ones. It was multiple people, you can get your butt kicked. So for me, it wasn't even about necessarily winning against multiple people. It was doing enough damage so that they would not want to jump me again. And so that's a whole nother mindset, right? Like you're really about survival. So I asked this question, can you learn martial arts without a teacher? And everybody told me no. I asked karate guys, I asked boxers, I asked old martial artists from, who were no longer doing martial arts, or maybe they still were. I asked many, many people. I think I asked 50 people. At least that's the story I told myself for the last 40 years. So maybe it wasn't 50, maybe it was just a bunch of people. Anyway, there was one guy who said, yes, you can learn without a teacher. You can get to an intermediate level, is what he said. Then he said, qualified it. He said, but you have to focus on the basics. He said, yeah, don't go chasing techniques and worrying about all these different, new techniques and forms or katas. He said, focus on the basics. Maybe do one punch 1,000 times. So I was like, so now I have a framework in my mind. Focus on the basics. I can get to an intermediate level. To me, intermediate level means like purple belt, right? Or amateur boxer, like Golden Gloves, right? Because they're not pros. Um, they're like intermediate because they're kind of on their way. So my next step that I remember very clearly in my journey was I read the autobiography of Muhammad Ali. And he told in this story that on his first day in the gym, the coach made him throw 200 jabs as fast and as hard as he could. So I guess the coach showed him how to throw a jab, and then he said, now throw 200 as fast and as hard as you can. And Ali did it. And the coach said, like, if you can't do it, or if you don't do it, if you slow down, I'll make you start over again. And if you can't do this, you can't train here. So I did it because I knew I needed to for survival. In my 40 years of training and instructing and helping others, I've only met 3 people who were able to throw 200 jabs as fast and as hard as they could without stopping. It's not easy. It's not something that you can work up to. It's a mind thing. It's about not stopping because of the pain. That's a training modality. And that was one of the first things I used to do. I used to throw 800 punches a day. For my first 6 months of training, 800 punches a day, 200 with the right jabs, 200 jabs with the right, and then 200 rear crosses, and then 200 rear crosses with the other hand. The second thing in my training, I joined the PAL, and maybe that happened first. I joined the PAL, and I trained maybe 6 weeks with them. So now you said, wait a minute, I thought you said you can learn without a teacher. I did say you can learn without a teacher. I didn't say avoid a teacher. I didn't say never have a teacher in your life. I didn't say never ask for guidance. I said, can you learn? The question is, can you learn without a teacher? And yes, you can learn without a teacher. You can continue to learn without a teacher. But you need to check in. You need to get somebody to get your stance together, show you the advantages of why your footwork needs to be placed a certain way. Like in boxing, it's basically a shoulder width footwork. In karate, it's a little wider. In wrestling, it's a little wider, and there are reasons for this, and you need to know the reasons. And then as you go through your training, you need to kind of check in again. Maybe every 6 months, visit a karate school, visit a wrestling gym, an MMA school, Find some people in your community or direct area who train and train with them. Okay, the second thing is you need to know how to train. So you need to know the importance of footwork, advancing, retreating if you're doing a striking art, if you're doing a wrestling art, how to pivot, mobility, how to shift your weight quickly. Um, you need to know all the different kinds of calisthenics to do for your chosen field. And where are you going to learn these things? Well, books are really good. I had 119 books. And what I was looking for, by the time I was, let's say, 19, 21 years old, I had 119 books in my library devoted to martial arts. And what I was looking for was what was the same. What information was across the board the same? And there were some things that I saw, so there were some themes that I saw recurring. One was this concept of 100 punches, 100 kicks, 100 minutes, 100 breaths, right? So it was all about this duration, right? Like hold this position for 100 breaths. If you took a 6 second inhale and a 6 second out exhale, 100 breaths is 10 minutes. So you might have to hold a horse stance or forward stance or whatever for 100 breaths. Or you might have to throw a punch 100 times, or you might have to do a technique 100 times. Um, so then this was again the mantra that the first guy told me, that you have to do repetition. Um, Also, I used to visit karate schools and I used to watch how they train. Oh man, they would spend maybe the first half hour just doing calisthenics, push ups, sit ups, different kinds of weird drills and stretches and kicks and stomach core exercises before they even got to doing their martial arts. There were some schools that focused on kata, some schools that focused on what they call like single movement drills. I used to visit kung fu schools. Sometimes I even was able to take free lessons. So you need to check in. That was the other piece. You need to get with somebody who is more advanced than you to check your stuff. It could be a school that offers a free class. It could be a neighborhood brown belt, and maybe just ask the question: can I train with you? Can you show me some exercises to help me? I'm trying to learn martial arts, and I've been practicing every day. And but I feel I need somebody to help me kind of tighten up my game a little bit. And most people would be happy to do that. This leads me to the next piece. You have to spar, and I don't think you should be sparring with people who are not trained. One, it'll give you a false sense of accomplishment. You're fighting somebody who's has no skills or techniques or whatever. Plus, egos can get in the way and you can get hurt or you can hurt somebody. So it's good to train with somebody who knows what they're doing and spar with somebody who knows what they're doing. Preferably somebody who's significantly better than you. So, for example, if you're a straight beginner on the bottom, you should not be sparring with a straight beginner, not for learning purposes. And maybe you can. I mean, maybe that's okay, right? Maybe that's okay. But you don't really want to spar with somebody who's just a little bit better than you, because that person can hurt you. You want to spar with somebody who's here, because they can deal with your technique. They can shut you down without having to hurt you. If you spar with somebody who's up here, I think that I don't know, you can, but I don't think you learn as much as you can with somebody who's here. So I would say somebody who's twice as good as you is safe to spar with. They won't hurt you. They don't have anything invested. Their ego's not going to get in the way. I qualify that statement because I had my sternum fractured. I had my mouth busted by my own brother. I've been seriously injured by people who were twice as good as me. I think that's just the culture of the dojo they came from. All these guys came from the same school. I won't mention what school that was. And I think the philosophy in there was break them up, even in a sparring situation. You go hard, keep this as real as possible. How do I recommend sparring? So when you spar, you need to set some rules. Are we pulling punches? are we connecting? Pulling punches can be dangerous because what happens is the person throws this punch and it's this far, it's this close to your face, and you never felt the punch. So as far as you're concerned, you didn't get hit. So you might continue moving and attacking, and you're not really learning as much. I used to practice slapping to the face, punching to the body, punch to the body at 50%, slap to the face. So the only danger there is that you might get your eye scratched or poked out. So maybe you want to wear some protective goggles. I used to wear my glasses, and if you slap my glasses off, okay, then you definitely got me, right? Um, so anyway, that's the story. I don't want to get too much further into this. I will kind of delve into this topic later, but just understand that you can learn without a teacher, but that you should have a teacher in your life, even if it's not full time. You need to check in with somebody who's more advanced than you, another a school in the area. You need to develop a good exercise routine. Your first year of training definitely should be mostly focused on body conditioning, conditioning yourself um, with fighting appropriate exercises. Um, and you should do other sports. Bruce Lee talked about playing handball, tennis, as ways of helping you with your mobility and your timing. Um, Read a lot of books. My favorite book when I first began were The Tao of Jeet Kune Do and all of Bruce Lee's fighting method books. And apart from that, like I said, the autobiography of Muhammad Ali, that book did a lot for me. Even though the only thing I got out of that was that throwing 200 jabs as fast and as hard as you can, but that was enough. That solidified my training. It also really made me love boxing, and so I learned the combo, the jab, the right cross. Those are the first three punches I learned and worked on: the jab, the right cross, and the hook, and everything else built from there. So that's the talk. Hope you enjoyed it. There's going to be a lot more where this came from. So if you enjoyed the content, press the like button and subscribe. Thank you.